On the onset of COVID-19 in the country in March 2020, the country was barely set or ready for a change of its operations, what has come to be known as the new normal. Little was known about the virus, and so was little known about a lockdown or curfew. A year and 8 months later, a dusk-to-dawn curfew had been the norm, together with an early closure of bars and restaurants. But now, with the presidential order vacating all these, due to a sharp decline in the number of COVID-19 cases, the path to normalcy is about to kick off. Welcome, I'm Lincoln Umbogo, and you're watching Frontline.
I hereby order and direct that the nationwide dusk-to-dawn curfew that has been in effect from the 27th of March 2020 be and is hereby vacated with immediate effect.
From that president's speech, what followed in the minds of many Kenyans is party all night. Well, there could likely be a possibility that caution could be thrown to the winds. But the question we are asking is, are we out of the woods yet? And is the path to normalcy a reality? Joining me to have this discussion, we have health expert and also the Secretary General of the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers, George Gibore. We're also joined by political commentator and analyst Whitney Mishani. Thank you for creating time, Whitney and George. Perhaps let me start with Whitney. Ladies first.
Sure.
Whitney, do you think we're out of the woods yet?
Absolutely not, but we've been seeing the statistics of late, and the positivity rate has been a bit below 5%. So I don't think we're out of the woods yet, seeing that the campaigns are starting. They've been around. So but when we look at the positivity rate, yes, they've been below 5%, but we're not out of the woods yet. What I would urge the people is to get vaccinated.
Get vaccinated.
Yes.
George.
Yeah, good question. Going by the presidential announcement, I want to say that the question is specific, whether we are out of the wood. We know we are not out of the wood because COVID is still there. People are still dying. If you look at today's statistic and the whole day of this week, there are a number of people losing life. One life lost is too many. So we must be able to take cautious, because that's to mean this person who lose life could be my brother, me, or any other person. So that is how cautious we should be able to take. And whether, yes, where we are currently, we need to be specific that, of course, the infectious rate is now doing around 2%. But of course, with the caution that you need to look at the number of testing that is happening. Some of the counties, totally no tests are happening. And of course, the sensitization issues is not there. So you might be finding that there are unrecorded deaths. There are also unchecked issues of infection in number of counties, because we are not doing what we call a follow-up for those who have been infected. Especially, you know, when we started, there are a number of measures we were doing.
We'll come to that. I'd like to know Whitney's take. Do you think the president, by vacating the curfew, gave in to political pressures?
Absolutely not. He did not give in to political pressure, but we've been seeing some politicians asking him to, lift the curfew.
And Kenyans too.
Oh, and yes, and Kenyans too. But I do believe that sectors of the economy had to be opened, because also we're seeing the campaigns. There've been a lot of mobilization for campaigns. So he did not give in to pressure. Actually, I believe that it was overdue. It was long overdue for him to lift the curfew.
You think so?
Yes. So that we can, so that the economy can, we can stimulate the economy, and also, yes, to wrap up.
I think I need to check that, and I say yes and no.
Yes and no.
Yes, because there are politicians who have been pushing for that, and of course, before he opened, they were out there not observing any containment measures. Two, and probably no, because of course, it is just a political statement. And it doesn't mean anything to those politicians, because already they had disobeyed his order. And probably that is why now we look at it, whether it makes any sense to them, but it makes sense to the business, and for those who their business had been closed because they cannot be able to operate optimally, and now they can be able to be open and probably get something on the table. And of course, even for the high cost of living that we are experiencing, I think I need to say that it is commendable that we are now opening the country. But of course, with a rider, are either that we must be able to know that the disease is with us, it is still killing people, the infection is still on, and yes, we are below 2% for a certain percentage going by what we are now testing. Now, if that is anything to go by, we need to say, yes, we are out of the fourth wave. Probably what we don't know is that other countries have gone beyond even the fourth wave. So we should be able to be cautious that we should not attract the fifth wave.
Let's listen to what Health CS Witahi Kagwe had to say.
The ability for us to continue with the curfew as it is, the opening, the cessation of use of the curfew, is also dependent on how well we are able to move forward as far as vaccination is concerned and the health protocols. You are all aware that there are many countries that have done exactly the same, opened up, and very quickly reverted back to the protocols that were there before as a result of the resumption of high levels of virus infections. This, we hope, is not going to happen.
Whitney, do you think the curfew served its purpose?
Yes, I do believe it did. I think we saw many people getting vaccinated. We saw people actually taking cautious measures to, not to get COVID. But as I've said, we needed to get the economy back running. We needed to get the transport sector, especially the hospitality sector, the tourism sector. We had to stimulate the economy, because we're saying we have to live with COVID, right? We can't live like on lockdown forever. So yes, I just urge, as I've said, I urge the public to get vaccinated, and I think everything will be fine. We have to live with this disease. Other countries have been living with this disease. We can't be locked up forever. And now, as I've said, the politicians are up running. So if they're up running and they don't, no one is holding them to account, I think it is just right for every sector of the economy to just, there are no double standards in this thing.
The economy was really hard by the dusk to dawn curfew. Do you think it's going to perform better now?
Oh, yes. Now we're going to see a 24-hour economy, yes. So we're going to see the matatu sector, it will be running up late. We're going to see the hospitality sector, and we know Kenya has a very vibrant nightlife. So we're going to see the bars, the hotels, they will be up running, and we will be able to also to create employment, because now we'll see different shifts, other people getting in the morning, others at night. So it was needed for the economy. It was needed.
George,
and it was long overdue. It was
long overdue.
Yes, the politicians have been misbehaving.
Yes, George, the Ministry of Health has struck a deal with Kenyans. If you manage to vaccinate 5.8 million people by Mashujaa Day, we will open up the economy. On that very day, on the 20th, were 1.3 million people short of the 5.8. What drove that decision to vacate the curfew? And do you think the president, or was the president just, he just want to make his last Mashujaa Day a memorable one?
A couple of things, and of course what you have said is also true, starting from where people are. And of course, for him, he's looking at his own probably position as the president in the country, and knowing very well where the country has been. Probably we have been lying that there is a curfew, but there are people who have never observed the curfew. Yes, curfew served. It is one of the containment measures that was put in place by the government. It served. It is best in the beginning, but later on it was actually probably being implemented in some specific area, and other areas it was not. So to be very specific that about this curfew thing and the pronunciation by the president, he had a lot of pressure. People do not have anything to eat. People are asking why politicians have been allowed for their career to thrive and other businesses have been shuttered. That is a very big question to any president who knows that the people who are asking you, they need really you to open for them to do some business, at least to get something. Remember, the education circle has changed, and people now have taken children to school for more than 3 times, and they're paying fully. The government has not taken that responsibility to assist.
Let's hear what Health CS Witahi Kagwe had to say on this as well.
Not reverted to physical contact of any kind, such as shaking hands, hugging, kissing. People are beginning to stretch their hands to greet others. Don't take the stretched hand. Just tell him, Yatosha. Just tell him Yatosha, because that is the beginning of indiscipline. The idea of social distancing.
Whitney, what do you have to react about, what CS Mutahi Kagwe said?
What I will have to say is, indeed, that's true. We have to look at other measures. We have to, sanitize, wash your hands, maintain physical distancing. But adding to that, we have to get people vaccinated. We saw the president when he was in his tour at the US. He talked about vaccine apartheid, and he went to Biden with that proposal, President Biden, that we need to get more COVID vaccinations to Kenya and also to Africa at large. So we will be keen to see how many will be availed to Kenya. But for now, we're just saying, let's get the people vaccinated. And I believe we'll have to have the elections, and also we'll just have to resume back to normalcy.
George?
Yeah, that is a normal question. A normal question because Kenyan who used to be very attentive to this pronunciation are never attentive. One, because our big leaders in this country who matters have demonstrated otherwise. And what other Kenyans don't know, that all these people have been fully vaccinated. When we see them on television greeting each other on extended hand, as he say, if someone extend a hand, don't take it. How? And yet we see them doing it at the same day, every day, including him, who is the CS. And even doing public gathering without face mask. You see, that is a very contemptuous way, in a manner that we do it, but we tell people don't do it. And we are not explaining that you must get to know that some of the people who are just misbehaving, some of them, they are probably taking it like, I am vaccinated. Now, we want to say, yes, when we ask people to be vaccinated, you must look at the number of, like, the health center that we have, close to 7,000 health centers in this country. Have they been given a chance to do vaccination?
Thank you, George. Thank you, Brittany. We now take a short commercial break. We'll be back. Many Kenyans, the President's Mashujaa speech met their expectations. We'll know if the President's Mashujaa speech met the expectations of George Gibore and Whitney Misheni after this short commercial break. Keep it switched. Welcome back. Now, as Kenyans continue to celebrate the vacation of the Dusk Dawn Curfew, here's why you should exercise caution. Now, Russian President Vladimir Putin has approved a government proposal for a week-long workplace shutdown at the start of November to combat a sharp rise in COVID-19 cases and deaths. Coronavirus-related deaths across Russia in the last 24 hours hit yet another daily record of 1,028, with 34,073 new infections. Daily coronavirus deaths in Russia have been surging for weeks, and this has been attributed to the sluggish vaccination rates, casual attitudes toward precautionary measures, and the government's hesitancy to tighten restrictions. Soaring cases of COVID-19 and related deaths have therefore prompted Russian President Vladimir Putin to approve a cabinet proposal for a week-long workplace shutdown.
The vaccine reduces for real the risk of infection or severe complications after the disease, the death risk. That's why I certainly support the government's proposal. I want to draw regional heads' attention to the need to increase the number of vaccinations. And of course, I call on all our citizens to get vaccinated.
Health Minister Mikhail Murashko said the healthcare system was operating under great strain. Around 650,000 medical professionals across Russia were involved in treating patients suffering from COVID-19. Russia reported a record high 1,028 coronavirus deaths Wednesday over the past 24 hours, the highest daily death toll since the pandemic began, boosting the country's death toll to more than 226,000, by far the highest in Europe. About 32% of Russia's nearly 146 million people have been fully vaccinated, although it was the world's first country in August 2020 to authorize a COVID-19 vaccine, and vaccines remain plentiful. In July, Russia became one of the world's first countries to launch a revaccination campaign, but the Kremlin say President Putin has yet to receive the booster shot. Lincoln Ombogo, Switch TV News. Now, Whitney and George, if Russia and other countries had eased restrictions are anything to go by, we've seen what the president has ordered at the start of November, not going to work because there's a sharp rise of deaths, sharp rise of infections. Now, Whitney, are we likely to see this? We know it's party after party right here in Kenya. Are we likely to see this happen in this country?
Yes and no. I feel like if Kenyans continue with how we've seen them behave from yesterday and since the president made the Mashujaa Day speech, I think we've been very reluctant, we've been very lax in how we're behaving. But I think if there's enough messaging that people should continue observing the COVID-19 protocols, I think Kenyans will indeed take the measures at heart and also, just continue social distancing, wearing the masks, but also with the heightened political campaigns. I think that is the main place where authorities should be focusing their energy on, because those are the main places where we will see a lot of COVID spikes, and those are the main super spreaders. That's my take on it.
George?
Yes.
I
think sometimes I look at Kenyans, how we are joyous because there is a curfew has been lifted, we are able to move 1, 2, 3. But I think we need to be realistic with the situation because it is us who need to work to make things change. This is just a pronunciation. Yes, we have been provided space that have been actually taken away by virtue of COVID, of which daytime we have been doing our business, most of the people doing their things without even the worry. But when it comes to at night, we normally we had closed the country. People are not able to move as they wish to. Now we are able to move. But of course, party to party, what I saw happening, highlights in many places, people were literally sleeping in bars and in social places. And what it means is that you cannot lack an individual who will have to be infected from those places. There must be some people who might be infected during this Russia, open time when people are celebrating without the knowledge that the COVID is still with us.
George, from a health expert's point of view, would you likely to see a surge?
For me, I'm happy that the country is open. We are doing business. And even as we do business, it's good to be cautious that the country and the individual, especially individual, we have to take care of our life. Once you're infected, you are on. No one comes for you. They must get to know that. Once you have been admitted, it is your family that will be doing fundraising for you to be saved. The government which has given you this free space will not be there. But of course, the responsibility to ensure that these things is happening also comes around with some measures that must be able to be taken. And that's why the government is taking some measures. And I want to really appreciate what Mutahi is doing, as much as some of people might not believe in him. And we need to say, of course, I've gone to the village. I was in Migori somewhere. And the people are being asked before they come for the funeral arrangement. They are saying, no, hakuna corona. People are saying hakuna corona. And those are the people you are telling now, because we have opened the country, by virtue of saying the number is down, you are telling them to take measures. That is what is contrary to what now you are actually confirming to them that COVID haiko. For them, that is what they look at it. So from the perspective of a healthcare worker, it's good to note that nothing has changed. It is only that the infection rate has been probably neutralized by virtue of people developing secondary immunity to this. And of course, we have vaccinated. Like in Nairobi, I want to look at it, the number of people who have been vaccinated, majority of being healthcare workers who sees many patients. And of course, the elder people who have been vaccinated. It is good to note that close to 4%, 40-something percent of the adult people have been vaccinated. That is to mean the targeted group. So, but when you have not been vaccinated and someone who is infected, you come into contact, you must get to know that you are the one at risk. That person who is vaccinated might not be hospitalized as much as they are sick. they will have, or rather not even demonstrate any signs and symptoms, but they will be actually spreading and become
virus.
a super spread of the infection, which will be mingling with them in these social places.
And you're likely to contract the virus.
Yeah.
Whitney, did an overview of the president's speech on Mashujaa Day? Did he meet your expectations in his speech? 6,000 words.
That was a very long speech. I think the longest we've seen in his tenure as president. But I think there were some good measures that came from the president. We did see some policy interventions. We saw some financial interventions, in the healthcare sector, in the education sector, and also I think the main beneficiary of this was the agricultural sector. So I do believe there were some good policies that he introduced, and also some financial policies. But now we have to look at the our legislators. Will they actually now go to parliament and also just give that view on it, and also now pass the supplementary budget, the 25 billion supplementary budget? That's what we should be looking at. But I do believe that also, I think the president in his 8 years in office, he's really been focusing on the big projects. And right now, I think he's really just now touching on the common mananchi. We've seen the tea sector, the coffee sector, the livestock area. We've also seen the fertilizers, the subsidies of the fertilizers. So I do believe, and also with the rollout of CBC, I think the 10,000 schools, I'm not sure about that number because I don't know the statistics, but I do think it's a step in the right measure. It might not be everything, but it's a step in the right measure. I think right now we should now focus on the weakest link, which has been our parliamentarians, and check if they will actually now go and put vote on the supplementary budget, so it can affect the common man. It can be seen in the common mananchi soon.
So he met your expectations?
I've said yes, I think it was a step in the right direction. I think if he was still focused on the big projects, the roads, all those big projects, I think it would still have the common mananchi. I think it's just now 10 months to the end of his tenure, but now I just believe it's a good, it's a stopgap. Yeah, it's a stopgap measure that will, see some improvements in the sector, and also the CRB listing, the moratorium on the CRB. Yes. And Kazim Tani.
And Kazim
Tani. Yes.
George, as a healthcare stakeholder, did the president's speech meet your expectations?
Well said. I think as you asked that, I remember, to finish my thought, you had asked about this Putin, Russia.
Yes.
And I need to mention that, of course, including our country, when there will be any rise of the infection, the president will not hesitate to close down the country. So that is why we must be cautious, especially those who they are celebrating their business has been opened. They also dance in between the line, because at any time when it raises, because by virtue of profiling the same, then he will still close it. Our expectation, and of course, I'm a Kenyan, I'm a parent, I have people who depend on me, and we know how difficult it has been in our country. We have been going through a very difficult time, and a hungry person is an angry person. For all of this pronunciation, since the COVID came, we have seen a number of measures being put in place. The unfortunate thing is that the poor Kenyan, the Wanjiko, never celebrated. Where does this relief goes? That is what I normally ask, that we keep on adding taking the cost of life high time to time by virtue of the same. But I want to say, the president, meanwhile, when he always comes, he has his people who are supposed now to implement everything. Like if it is in the agriculture sector, we expect the agriculture CS, and including the county, because we know that agriculture is a devolved function. We need to see the money going back to the county. We don't want to see the money being left here. Let's let him act as actually a bridge for the money to go to the county. We see the counties that are supposed to benefit, let them benefit. Let the farmers enjoy. Because currently a majority of them cannot even buy the fertilizers for them to be able to actually produce what they are doing. Now, when these things happen, most of the time we know the problem in our country is about the tenderpreneur thing, where everyone, they look at this money and they look into how do they come up with the amount of tender that they will benefit from. George, and that is what the president needs to be keen about.
My director tells me your time is up, but one last quick one, very quick one. Are we prepared as a country to hold a general election amid a pandemic? Very quick answer.
First of all, we've seen countries hold elections amid the pandemic. So I think Kenya will not be a special case. And also it is entrenched in the constitution that after 5 years, we will go for elections. So I don't believe anyone should be using COVID as a reason. And also I think the president should just focus on ramping up vaccination. But I do believe we should hold elections. And I think we cannot stand a day with this current.
George, how about you? Very quick one.
I think we are. Why not? We have seen our friend here, Tanzania, doing election during the same period, Uganda, the same period, and many other countries. Like even the US, with a population of 200 million and above, they conducted the election during the COVID time. We cannot give any excuse.
As a health expert, please advise, how many people are we supposed to vaccinate before we hold our general elections and before that whole process starts?
It will be advisable that actually all of our energy be focused to increase the number of vaccinated people. And this number, the targeted population here, should be more than actually 60%. 60%. And that is more than 24 million of Kenyans who are within the bracket or the group who are targeted. Yeah.
We now come to the end of the show. We do appreciate health expert and also the Secretary General of the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers, George Gibore, also political commentator and analyst Whitney Misheni, for creating time. We'll leave you with this video courtesy of the World Health Organization on how to protect yourself while outdoors. In the meantime, thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your viewing.
Well, there's several things that we can do to keep ourselves safe when we meet indoors. The first is to open the doors and windows if possible, so that there is more air circulating in the room. We can also wear masks as well. It's possible for us to maintain distance, at least 1 meter between each other. And we can also ensure that we wash our hands frequently in case we might pick up virus that's on any surfaces. I would also like to add that although not specific to meeting indoors, it is important that we get vaccinated when we do have that opportunity.